Aproximadamente 13 años estaba en una universidad y tenía muchos prospectos que no convertían. Entonces tuve la sensación de que, bueno, algo estoy haciendo mal o estoy invirtiendo mal en anuncios de Google o anuncios de Facebook. Algo está pasando que estos prospectos no convierten. También me pasaba que no podía generar los suficientes prospectos, o sea, no podía atraer los suficientes prospectos. Y aquellos estudiantes que tenía no conectaban para que ellos me trajeran otros estudiantes. Hoy en día, como está cambiando la tecnología y como estamos avanzando con tecnologías inclusive de inteligencia artificial, está cambiando cómo hacemos las cosas. Y estoy muy contento hoy de compartir este escenario en vivo, hoy con mi amigo Dan Tyre de la empresa HubSpot. Hoy vamos a conversar porque Dan tiene algo importantísimo que contar sobre su experiencia de vida, sobre todo, pero cómo ayudar a organizaciones y en especial a universidades o instituciones que tienen que ver con matrícula y cómo ayudarlos a atraer correctamente a estudiantes calificados, ¿verdad? O sea, cómo ayudar a que esos prospectos sean cada vez más calificados. Así es que quiero invitar aquí a pantalla a Dan. Hola Dan, ¿cómo estás? How are you? Let's switch into English.
Doing great. Thanks for inviting me onto the program this morning.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for being here. Well, one of the things I want to let the people know is that you're coming to Costa Rica in the month of September. So that's so great to have you here. How long has it been since you haven't been in Costa Rica?
I think it's 4 years, which is a travesty because I love going to Costa Rica. Traveled there for HubSpot and for personal reasons. Great country, right? Vibrant business ecosystem. And we're going to be talking to one of the largest growth segments, universities and high schools, right? Who provide education for hundreds of thousands of potential students.
And that's the idea, to help them in that process of the admissions. Well, I was in the introduction, I was talking about that this modern age, things are so different than, students have access to technology, have access to peer-to-peer conversations. And so sometimes they dig a little bit, they do more research than we think they do. And the process is never linear. So
100%. You're 100% right. It's a whole different ballgame, right? And it's changed quite significantly just in the last few years, right? It was changing leading up to the global pandemic, but after 2019, right, everything was on the table. And there's headwinds in virtually all of these channels. Number one, the value. The underlying value of educational investment is on the table. Number two, the ability to differentiate, right? Both online as well as when you're actually going in person, right? And then the goal, of course, is to make sure that you're at capacity, right? So that you can teach as many young adults or business folks as you can. And the key to that is making sure that you have good fit participants, good fit students, right? That's a lot easier to do online, right? Because you have all the data, right? When you're a very experienced university administrator and person who's responsible for attendance. The ability to measure exactly what's going on is super important.
Yeah, and what about the efforts, these people do in the marketing department, to throw out information about the university, to throw about of the admission dates. Sometimes they focus more on the admission dates than the actual, trying to recruit better leads, trying to understand who are these buyer personas, like we would like to call them in the inbound world. Buyer personas, or let's put it for someone that has not heard of inbound, they're ideal students. So those ideal students, what are their likes, their dislikes, and not so much of what are the dates of admission, because as you said, pandemic boosted another type of education, which is online, and some of these young folks, I have a daughter that she is 15 turned to 16 this year, and here in Costa Rica, you can be 16, 17 to start high school, to start university. So she is already, she did her research already, right? And actually then they're giving her assignments of homeworks of using ChatGPT. So they know they're in the AI world already, and they're more savvy than we think. And they will make different decisions. So marketing.
You hit three great points. Number one, it's not really marketing; it's really serving the customer. Right? There's a completely marketing is usually the expense. What you're talking about is getting very, very detailed and understanding your ideal student, right? And that's much different than it was even 3 years ago, right? That is the differentiation, because if you're working with students who are coming from the United States to Costa Rica, or people who are coming from France to Costa Rica, that's a very different flow and process. Right. And so marketing in the university sense sometimes means just the same thing to everybody. And it's not the case in 2020. Number two, right, you have to understand that marketing leads to growth. Right? No one really wants to pay for marketing, but they all want the right capacity of fill seats for their in-person and online programs. Right? And so you've got to think through the sales and marketing process as one holistic way of approaching it. Right? And number three, you mentioned it earlier, right? You got to start early, sometimes years before somebody's going to make a decision. And if they're seeing information on a regular basis that speaks to them, that helps them make a better decision, you have a competitive advantage of getting that student further on down the line.
Some of the tools that we're going to use in the summit here in September, we're going to talk about a little bit later. But some of the tools that we've been using from HubSpot, actually, I took it from HubSpot. I started to learn from HubSpot, 10 years ago in the academy. Now you're an advocate of the HubSpot Academy, which is, I urge people to go there and find, to learn about these trends, right? To learn how we're shaping differently. Like now, the topic of your presentation is the modern process for the modern university. So we got to have modern people who get this. And so by basically studying what you guys have out there in the HubSpot Academy, we learn from the prospect fit matrix. It's a simple matrix that you basically put the responses you would like to get from your ideal students. So if they are looking for a vet school, if they're looking for any health, doctor or any physician or whatever they want, or they want marketing, or they want to become a lawyer, want whatever they want. What is it that they what are the questions that you would like to ask and you would like to hear back? So you make a call, qualify them. It's the right word. In between high prospect or low prospect, it's so simple, but sometimes we skip those basic things in sales. And you're the big guy in sales and for years in the company and some other business. But for the most important things in sales is ask questions. Like if you really want to get to know them and really want to understand them. So those questions in the prospect fit matrix, it's helping us understand if it's the right fit or it's not the right fit. And maybe if it's not the right fit, we can recommend something else. And the universities and academic programs has so many resources today that if you want to become an artist but you don't have the skills, right? You want to study arts or design or something else, and you have the skills. Well, there's a test to help you understand what are then your skills. Like maybe you like to talk a lot, and you can become a lawyer, you can become a marketing or an influencer or whatever. And this has been forever. It's just that the admissions process, kind of in the universities I've worked with, forget that we have to ask those questions to the right students and understand which are our prospects.
Okay, a lot of wisdom there. A lot of wisdom there. First of all, ideal customer profile is not necessarily new, right? But it's critically important. It has moved up in importance because over the last 20 years, there wasn't a big emphasis because there were so many people who were interested in going to university. That has functionally changed, right? So now the riches are in the niches. You have to get very, very specific on the best type of student. The other thing is that all universities are under increased scrutiny for providing a great student experience. So if you're getting a wide range of different types of students, it makes it more difficult to ensure that everybody is having a great experience throughout their entire student career, right? So figuring out, number one, who the actual student is going to be. Number two, you've got to figure out who is influencing the decision, right? Many times it's parents or grandparents, and you have to communicate differently to those constituents than you would directly to the students. And everyone within the process, that's the admissions person who's talking with the student, as well as the people who are talking to the family, as well as student aid, all have to see the same information. If you don't know that the student aid organization is talking to the student, right, you're at a disadvantage, right? If you can see that information in the CRM, and HubSpot has a great CRM that universities can take advantage of, then it's much different.
Yeah, definitely. Now, Dan, you're a man of wisdom, and you became with the concept marketing one day. Like you said, like, okay, we got to put together these two departments, sales and marketing. Tell us about it.
Well, in the old days, marketing created the brand and gave all the leads to sales, right? And that's just the way it worked. It was just the ability for marketing to explain who you should go after, which was usually everybody, and how they would go ahead and do it. And then with the move to digital, it became online. It was much different, right? And the idea of sales and marketing working much closely together, that means marketing creates the brand, and then sales takes all that information and engages on a regular basis. Sometimes the prospect isn't ready. Sometimes requires that the lead or the process goes back to market. And working back and forth with that makes a huge difference, right? So sales and marketing in 2023 is, and leading into 2024 is now schmarketing, all pushed together. And they have to work aligned. Marketing will look at a little bit different data in aggregate usually. Sales will look at different data as well.
When I came back from the States, I started to work at Universidad Latina here, the Costa Rica, and I remember those conversations having like, oh, these are the amount of leads you gave me this week or this month, and so, but this is the amount that did not convert. So I deeply got into the question like, interesting, like we have these amount of leads that are not converting, but how are we helping? Because the admissions department is saying, all right, I don't want these leads, go back to you. And marketing said like, well, it's what we have. Like, let me push some more marketing. And so we'll get new leads and you will find. So working together is what I thought. It was great, like working together. What is it that the admissions department knows better than the marketing team about those conversations they have with the prospects in front of them, on the phone, on the email? What is it that the admissions department knows more than the marketing team?
Well, it's not an aggregate. It's a segment of one, right? They know how many times they've come to the website. They know how many conversations they've had. They understand if they meet the criteria or there is a discussion that has to be had about subsidies or grants. And so marketing is usually the overall like access of the larger data points, and admissions is usually in the individual and digging down into the human connection that's important for anybody that's making a big life decision like where they're going to university. Right, so they're both equal in importance. One is aggregate, one is detail, right? But essential because if you're working on two different code streams, if marketing is working with one data set and admissions is working with another, then it's easy to get misaligned. It's easy to have improper data. It's easy to draw the wrong conclusions. And as soon as you do that, you're wasting time.
Now, let me add another key player here in this game. Like, let's pile up. Let's put this a little bit more complicated. Let's bring the faculty. Like, yeah, what do they know about the students, right?
Right. And what should they know, right? They should know the background and understanding of how somebody came to university, right? All that information in the pre-admissions process should be available to the faculty so that they can understand the individual that they're teaching for a better education experience, right? And all of that, when it's done online, you have access to that. You don't necessarily like have to address privacy issues. You just have to see it in aggregate. You have to understand if a significant component of your class is coming from Arizona or coming from someplace else. And that makes it just a lot easier for everybody to have a superior educational experience.
One of the things I've learned through these years of helping universities or working at the university setting is that most of the time, those conversations that the students that are in the fence, that they really don't know if they're going to enroll or not, if that's their career or not. Sometimes when they have a conversation with the faculty, with a faculty member, they'll say, "Oh yes, that's exactly what I like. That is what I'm going to be doing in the workforce. That is how I've dreamed myself as a kid." So those conversations, I spoke with Lorena Jordan, which is going to be one of the speakers at the summit in September 29 and 23rd, 29 and 30 of September. And Lorena worked for the tech in Mexico, in Monterrey. Tech de Tecnológico de Monterrey in Mexico. And so in the implementation that they did, they not only worked towards the, collecting information from those students or prospects that want to become a student at the university, but they also connected to the faculty so that they can have a conversation and engage through the admission process with a professor, right? So that this professor, this faculty member can help the student, guide the student if that's the right decision for him. And all that data, right now, as you said, like you have to see it as an aggregate. But right now, if the university doesn't have the technology, how would they know? How would they know? How did they transition to a, here's a link to speak with the faculty member of this program or this school, right? So with technology, that's the beauty, I think, Dan, that technology has brought us a lot of resources that we can put together those pieces of the puzzle for a better and modern
process, right? No. It's not a piece of the puzzle. It's essential now. It used to be like this is aspirational. Now it's a foundation of ensuring, and that's what we're going to talk about in September, right? It used to be that you could take your time in accessing all this content. Now it's the foundation for a successful student population moving into the future. We're going to show you how to do it. We're going to give you free resources that will allow you to take baby steps towards this. You're an expert at helping universities understand because you've done it for the last 10 years, right? And we're going to combine what we've learned at HubSpot, what we've learned on technology, and what we've learned with the CRM, with all of the folks that are trying to fill the seats for the students so that it's easy for them to scale.
Perfecto. So it's no longer, and the admissions process is no longer a responsibility of the admissions director and just the folks in admissions. It's the entire university, right? It's the entire university. All right, so we'll like to share the summit that is coming. It's at September 29 and 30, and it is held in Santarena Hotel at Las Catalinas. It's a beautiful town in the coast of Costa Rica. So for those who want to come, those who are here in Costa Rica and those who are from abroad that want to come, it's at Hotel Santarena. It's one of, let me show you the place. This is the website of the hotel. It's a beautiful town, developed for people who care and for the environment and like to have a better life. So it's a place that I've been working for the 5 years, and I love it. So I said, why not bring those people that are tired and exhausted of a process that they've been going over and over and over, and want to bring them to a place like this, a very relaxed place like this, to speak with Dan and some other speakers that we're going to be helping you shape this modern process. So by this event, what we're looking is to not only bring Dan, we're going to have Lorena Jordan, Colin Sharp, and Sofia Sestari as the speakers. We're going to talk about those things. You're going to have to pay the admission of the summit and also the hospedaje. You're staying at the hotel, you're lodging, right? And it is really, really beautiful. But look at the rooms, and you can have the map. Well, that's just kind of the commercial. But I want everybody to pay attention of what we're going to be telling in this summit, because it is happening right now. Like the world has shifted. COVID has helped with the pandemic, has helped us to get different type of students, and so we also have to move forward. We also have to to change, to update into what is this new process, and how do we use the methodologies, not only the technology. You can have all sorts of technology. You can have a bunch of pieces of technology to do what you're supposed to be doing. HubSpot is just one, have thought about it and put it all together in one place. That's why I like it. That's why I recommend it. And probably that's why you recommend it too, Dan. But we're gonna help you. We're gonna help our audience to learn the process, the methodology, the formula. That's why I like to call it the formula. It's the CRM formula to get better results at the university.
That in the presentation, right? You just wrote my whole presentation, right? You're gonna have to co-present with me now. Amazing.
No. Yeah. So thank you, Dan. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. It's great to have you back in Costa Rica. I met you in 2016. You came 4 years ago again. It's going to be probably your third time coming back to Costa Rica. We love you. We love everything you're doing. Thank you. Boot camps, HubSpot boot camps are open again. I signed today. For those who want to follow HubSpot Academy and the boot camps, it's also awesome. It's free. You'll learn tons. Thank you, Dan.
Very good. Nice to see you, and I will see you in Costa Rica at the end of September.
See you soon. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.